Welcome to the Claim Your Day podcast. Here, it's all about taking full advantage of the time we have today and becoming intentional with our actions so we each can have the impact we want. If you want to stop drifting through life and start directing your life, and you're open to a short podcast from someone who's working at the exact same thing, then welcome. You're in the right place, my friend. Hi, I'm your host, Nick Mazey. To respect your time and so you can claim your day, let's dive right in. Well, hello, my friend, and welcome. Welcome to episode 14 of the Claim Your Day podcast. Glad you're here and joining in. We're in the middle of a whole series on consistency. If you want to make the most of your days and your time, then you got to be consistent. Because those behaviors that we do over time that really add up to the life that we live. If you're just joining us and you missed some of those previous episodes, no worries. You can listen to them right here wherever you're listening to this episode. As well as you can go to nickmazey.com and you can listen to some of the previous episodes there as well. So make sure you check out those previous episodes. But today we're talking about procrastination and distractions. Look, I can't be the only person that gets hit with the temptation of a little bit of procrastination, or where distractions steal some of my focus and I get off track a little bit. I can't be the only person. Does that happen to you at all? I would like to. I think that what happens is just about all of us. If we can be a little bit honest, in some way, shape, or form. Maybe the things that distract me a little bit, or that cause me to, or that influence me to procrastinating some. They might be a little bit different from you, but I think we're gonna be able to talk about some techniques, some things that we can do. That at least one of the suggestions is going to be able to help you to stay on track, to procrastinate a little bit less, to focus a little bit more, so that you can do the things you need to do, be a little bit more productive, and make the most of your days and your time, so that you can achieve what you want, live by your values for you and your life and your family, and that's going to be a great thing. So, I don't know if you've ever been there where you know you need to do something, you're going to complete this task, you're going to check something off, and then suddenly everything else seems just so much more appealing. Maybe you instinctively or just out of habit, pull out your phone. Before you know it, you're scrolling down social media. It's been 20 minutes, and then, oh my gosh, you're late for the next thing, and you got to jump on it. And whatever that one task is that you were going to knock out real quick, it's done. It can't happen. It can't happen. You're not gonna be able to get it. It's not done. It's just off the table because you have to move on to the next thing. Or you find yourself doing some other little task. Like for some people it might be organizing their desk because they're putting off doing some of those work tasks. For me, organizing my desk is not what I use to delay doing what I should do. But maybe that might resonate with you. Procrastination is distractions. See, they can derail us from even having the best intentions of what we're going to accomplish and how we're going to make the most of our time. So, if you ever felt like you're constantly battling just that procrastination, the putting things off, or the distractions, you're not alone. You're not alone at all. And so today we're going to share and talk about just some practical strategies that you can implement, really easy, really simple, to claim your focus, to rein it in, regain it, and to have that productivity. I'm going to share with you a handful of strategies, like I said, but I'm really going to highlight some of the ones that work very well for me, that are so helpful, and to really be honest, they are so easy. All right. Here's one of the first strategies we're talking about, and that is it's called the 2-minute rule. And basically, if a task takes less than 2 minutes, just do it immediately. This really works for some people because they're able to just get off. For me, I do this sometimes, but what is helpful for me is if I'm in the middle of something, I have like sticky notes, and I'll write on a sticky note or on my little flip pad that I have in my pocket at just about all times. And that is, I'll write that task down that I know I need to do when it comes up so I don't forget it. And then I'll kind of pair that with tracking what I need to do with one of these other techniques that I'm going to share with you in just 1 second. But what really works well with the 2-minute rule is breaking down your larger projects into smaller, manageable tasks. So when you break down those larger projects, because sometimes when you have this huge thing to accomplish, it's easy to procrastinate on it because you don't have time to do all this big thing. But you might have time to do just a small task or a small step, a part of that big project. And that's where it pairs well with the 2 minute rule is that if you have a big project, you break it down into small steps and you can kind of just chunk off, hey, it'll just take me a few minutes. I can knock out this, this, and this. And then you're actually going to make progress toward that bigger goal, that bigger project by checking off those smaller little steps that only take just a minute or two or three each. So those are kind of the first two strategies you kind of pair well together. Just break your bigger projects into smaller steps and then just be able to knock them out one by one, kind of keep track of that. That's a very helpful way to kind of get the ball rolling and develop a little bit of momentum. Now, this next technique, this next little simple strategy is one of my favorite, and I use it, and oh my gosh, when I use it, it is so helpful. It's basically like no matter what's going on, it helps me to focus. It helps me to be productive. It helps me to really make progress and make the most of my time. It's called the Pomodoro Technique. And what it is it's basically it's setting a timer where now I use 25 minutes. And in different situations, sometimes I might adjust that to the time I have available. But I love it because I can set a timer on my watch. And what it does is it allows me to say, hey, for this next 25 minutes, I'm going to focus on doing this one thing or this one group of tasks. And when I'm doing that, that's all I'm going to focus on, and I'm just going to knock it out. And it helps, like I said, it helps my focus, it helps my productivity. And if things come up that I need to, I really should be doing this, and it's not what I've already determined that I'm going to focus on for that block of time, then I just write it down, like I said, on a sticky note or my flip pad, and I'll come back to it later. But during that time, when that timer is running, I am focused on whatever that group of tasks, that specific task that I'm doing. That's what I'm focusing on. And then in between, once that timer goes off, I make sure I give myself a little bit of a break because that it actually helps like kind of reset the mind, and it helps with the next time that the block of time that I'm going to use. So that way I've taken a little bit of a break. Maybe I've walked around, maybe I've gotten a glass of water, maybe I've chatted with a colleague or something like that to actually really give my brain a break. And then, I got to jump back in, and I set my timer again on my watch, and I'm diving into that next task or that next little thing that I'm working on. It's very, very helpful. One of the things, all right, so the next thing is one of the things that leads to sometimes some procrastination and lack of productivity and all that is some of the self-talk. Some of the things that we're telling ourselves, it's going to take so much work. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. I really don't want to do it. And this self-talk, it goes on in the background. So sometimes you might not even realize it's going on. But just really saying a few positive, encouraging words to yourself, in your head or even out loud a little bit, it can be what you need to be able to just say, hey, you know what? I'm going to knock this thing out. Even just saying that to yourself and then doing it can help you to start. I was just thinking I'll have to do a little bit. I give a shout out to Mel Robbins. It's kind of related to the self-talk, but she has that 5-second rule where she does a little bit of a countdown and then like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And sometimes if you're really sitting there, you're really struggling with just taking action on something and you're putting it off, you might even just give yourself a little bit of a countdown, say the word go after you hit 1, and actually just start doing what you're going to do right then. Obviously, you can check out Mel Robbins for a whole lot more on that. She's got a book, a whole bunch in her podcast for the 5-second rule, but that just could go in right there. I just thought of that, so I wanted to make sure I shared that with you. All right. Now, these last two like kind of techniques or strategies, they really are in direct opposition to each other, but I got to share both because some work for some people and one works for some people and one works for the other people. So you really can just find out what works best for you. The first one is called, it's the eat the frog technique or approach. This one was really popularized by Brian Tracy. He's got some phenomenal work out there in productivity and goal setting for a long time. All right. But basically what it's saying is tackle that most challenging, the most difficult, the most unpleasant thing that you got, that task that you just don't want to do, first thing in the morning, first thing in your day. Just knock it out. Pretty much is saying that once you do that, everything else is going to be a lot easier, a lot smoother sailing, a lot less miserable. and you're good. You already got that momentum going, and you're rocking and rolling. It's called, eat the frog. And the other side of that is, basically creating easy momentum. What's that easiest, smallest, simplest, not so bad task, that thing that you can knock out first thing. So they work, they sound like they're the exact opposite, but basically what the both are doing is either knocking out the hardest, most challenging, unpleasant thing first, or knocking out the easiest, most pleasant, smallest, simplest thing first. Whichever one you're choosing, you're really creating some momentum for yourself. For me, I do a lot better when I create momentum initially. And so that would be just, hey, get the ball rolling, doing some small, simple things. And then once I've kind of started a little bit, then I might jump into the Pomodoro Technique where I'm setting that timer and I'm really diving in, because it takes a minute for my brain and body to get going. That might be that might correlate with, as I'm getting older, the more that I need to rely on those small, simple, easy steps to start off with. But I digress a little bit. So try them both out. See what works best for you, because you're going to find that, hey, what works best for you might be a little bit different, and that's great. We're all different, and that's why I like to share a lot of different strategies here, because you can try one. Hey, maybe the using the timer doesn't work the best for you. Maybe it's the 2-minute rule, and you just say, I'm going to knock this out, because they're really, really quick. Or maybe you need to do the eat the frog technique, and you got to tackle the most challenging, difficult thing very first thing, and then the rest of it you're just rocking and rolling, and you keep that momentum going. Try the different things out to see what works best for you. I'm gonna share just real quick, a few things about kind of managing the distractions, because that might help you out a little bit. One is just creating a distraction-free workplace. That it might be turning off the notifications on your phone. It might be having less visual distractions, or making it really quiet. So there's less auditory distractions. With my workplace as well as at home, this I can't take advantage of that much. There's distractions on all the time, it seems like. One of those that I do use a lot is disabling the notifications on my phone. I limit them a lot anyways, just all throughout the day. But on my phone, it has a little button where I can have like do not disturb or focus time, and it'll knock out all the notifications. Now, if I'm expecting a call or someone from my wife, like I can go into it and say, if someone calls me on this certain list, it'll still go through. But besides that, no notifications. And that really helps me to really be able to focus, as well as sometimes just putting my phone away, flipping it over or something like that can help me from checking it as much and having that distraction. They actually have programs and websites out there that can limit your distractions on your computer, prevent you from going certain places, actually can turn the internet off if that's a distraction for you. They got them on your phone as well as a computer, and different apps and tablets, and everything's got them nowadays. That might be a route for you if you're getting distracted a lot when you should be, doing some other things, and really to help you be able to focus on what you need to be doing, what you need to be doing, that you need to be doing for you and your life and your family to make the most of your time. Another quick thing that you could do to help limit distractions is really practice that time batching. Now, we talked about this in a previous episode, but also related to this would be, setting that timer, saying, hey, I'm going to do this group of tasks, and I'm going to set the timer on it. And even scheduling that. I'm kind of grouping a few different kind of strategies together. You can batch together the tasks that you're doing, so there's less switching between different tasks in different contexts. You can set your time, like actually schedule that time that you're going to focus, and then set the timer on your watch for that time, so that hey, I've only got 5 more minutes. I'm going to focus. I'm going to knock it out. Now, I know I rattled through a lot of different strategies here. That's where you can kind of go back and listen to the episode. I definitely highlighted the ones that work very, very well for me. But don't, just because it worked really well for me, don't ignore the other ones. Because you're a little bit different than me. That's great. But some of the things that I don't use as much because they're not as effective for me, they might really resonate with you, and it might be that home run that you're looking for. So I didn't want to just share the ones that are very helpful for me. But just remember, like, when you can do different things, and you can use some of these strategies to combat the procrastination, to limit those distractions, it's going to really help you to increase that productivity. Get the things done you need to get done. It's going to help you to be more efficient, get more done in less time. We have so many demands for our time and attention these days. You've got to be effective. You got to be efficient. It's going to help you with your productivity. It's going to help you to improve your focus. Limiting those distractions, it's going to help you improve your focus, which means that you're going to be able to work more deeply, and that's going to help with being more effective, but you're going to have higher quality work, and it's going to be of just a greater value because you're being able to improve that focus. And when you can increase your productivity, improve your focus, helping yourself to work on the most important things and get those done and to focus on that and those values, that's going to greatly reduce your stress. And a lot of us could really use some of that great stress reduction. All right, so I've gone through a lot of strategies here. I hope they help you. Help you to just really, as we say, claim your day. By combating that procrastination, limiting those distractions, making the most of your time, so that you can do the things you need to do for you, your life, your family, to live according to your values and live your best life. All right, my friend, let me go ahead and sign off here real quick. Hope you have a great day. Can't wait to talk to you in the next episode. We still have a few more episodes in the consistency series to take advantage of all of it. Find out what works for you. Make the most of your life. All right, here's to you, my friend. Talk to you soon.